So everybody has to say it's okay to be recorded. And I'm going to make sure it goes live here, and then we'll go back to the slideshow. And there we go. All righty. Let's go back to the keynote. Now we can start the keynote and I can get rid of, oops, it's supposed to just get Ken start recording out of there. Anyway, well, it is the 37th anniversary of MacNexus. So it was started
Woohoo!
in 1984 in October, right after the Macintosh was introduced in January of in 1984. And you know the old commercial of this is why 1984 won't be like 1984. So tonight the agenda is we're going to do the annual membership meeting, and that we try to get done as quickly as possible. I have some slides for that. We'll do some current news. Al's dug out some pretty good things. We'll do our normal volunteer member announcements. We'll solicit tech Q&A, and we're going to have a Zoom background contest. So make sure you have your Zoom background, the best one you can get, because there are prizes available. And then I'm going to talk about the new MacBook Pros, and I just realized I mistakenly thought I was doing photos. So this was supposed to be a logo of a MacBook Pro here, but it's the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So my mistake. All right, so we've got the first thing. This is our agenda for tonight. So if we're ready for the annual meeting, I guess I call it to order, and then we go through, and I do have the notes. So at 7:13 p.m., I call the annual membership meeting to order. So we announcing that the annual meeting was distributed via an email blast to all members. And Mr. Ress, are you ready?
We are, sir.
I have the previous minutes, I believe.
Okay. The minutes of the annual membership meeting that occurred on October 28th, 2020 in Sacramento, California via Zoom. The annual MacNexus membership meeting was called to order by President Ken Spencer at 7:11 p.m. President Ken Spencer demonstrated proof that the notice of the annual meeting was sent to members via an email blast. Secretary Bob Ress read the minutes of the 2019 annual meeting. Roy Chastain moved that the minutes be adopted with corrections. Jim DeShawn seconded the motion. The motion was approved by a voice vote. Lisa Goodwill presented the treasurer's report. It showed an ending balance today of approximately $37,066 on September 30, 2020. Copies are available from Lisa Goodwill at her email address. Bob White announced that as election commissioner, he had completed the tally of the ballots. The result of the balloting for officers and directors for 2020: for vice president, Thomas Spencer; for director at large, Al Trivet; for director at large, Rich Person. There were 98 votes cast by election buddy. No paper ballots were cast this year. President Ken Spencer called for old business. There was none. President Ken Spencer called for new business. There was none. Business having been concluded, Al Trivet moved to adjourn. Darlene DeLon seconded the motion. The motion was approved by a voice vote. The meeting adjourned at 7:22 p.m.
Thank you, Secretary Bob Ress. And this evening, when we're going to move or second something, I would appreciate, and it helps Bob a lot, we need your first and last name.
Hold on a minute.
I'm sorry.
There's a correction necessary.
Okay.
Where it says, just before the boxes where it says the result of the balloting for officers and directors, that should read 2021, not 2020.
No, this was last year's minutes.
Right, and that's the officers for 21, 22.
Oh,
So,
for the balloting for the coming year.
Right.
Got you.
yeah, so it should read 2021.
Okay.
I
And
will make the correction.
Thank you.
thank you very much. And again, not just the board of directors, but any member can move or second, and we will solicit that now. So, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Al Trivet, I make a motion that we approve the minutes as with the corrections.
Okay, and a second?
Lisa Goodwill, I second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
If there's anyone opposed, please unmute yourself. All right. Well, and unmute yourself and say opposed, I guess was the thing. So that motion carries. So the minutes have been approved as amended. Thank you, Bob Ress. So now let's see. So now I have the treasurer's report and our wonderful treasurer, Lisa Goodwill. I have it on the screen.
Okay, rounding to the nearest dollar. We started the year with $36,583 cash on hand or available. We had income of $9,442 against expenditures of $7,441. So this is, of course, the report from January 1. I have an error on the screen. This is January 1, 2021 through September 30th, 2021. And we find ourselves with $38,583 cash balance.
So just so everyone knows, the club, because we've had less expenditures this year because of not having the facilities and not knowing, we're always budgeted to lose a little bit of money because we had a large pool of money that dates back to when MacNexus was actually an internet service provider. So as a nonprofit, we did improve our balance sheet a little this year, but I think that's expected. So.
And I need to reverse my correction. The title's actually accurate.
Yeah.
It's 3 years of 3 years. Oh, well, sorry, folks.
Thank you, Lisa. Does anybody have any questions for Lisa on this? She does a great job with it.
Please, no.
Appreciate it. All right. No hard questions.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Yay.
All right. Now we move to our great Bob White, who kind of is the keeper of everything MacNexus going way back, and he is the election commissioner. So we have a slide here. This was what he sent today. So go ahead, Bob.
I think he just called me an old guy.
No. No, but well, we're all old, but that's an OG as far as you're like an original MacNexuser.
OG.
Anyway, there was so much competition. Both Ken and Bob, for their respective, got 100% of the votes cast. There, on one of them, there were 4 abstentions, and on the other, there were 2 abstentions. But then the other one, directors, of course, we only had one candidate, which was Mary, and she got 70 votes, and then we have.
And I think there was some confusion is why it doesn't show that there is
Right.
many
There's
for her on
17
percentage.
votes for things such as unknown and forced me to pick 2 and Santa.
Well, and also Maria Wanda Schneider. So Mary Mary's doppelganger got another vote on the, and I wonder if that was the very last one was a vote for Bob Ross the painter, or was it for Bob Ress?
It's probably for Bob Rest.
And the dog likes it.
Yeah.
Happy computers. We're doing happy computers.
Yeah. And Melissa Green and 1234. Now that's a pretty good one. And Unknown and Ray Skywalker. So and Santa got a vote, which is good. It's pretty interesting. There were
Yeah, for the members looking at the screen, the 4 with a star are current active members.
and Santa isn't a member.
Who?
Santa.
Oh man.
Well, what I find very interesting is right below Maria Wanderschneider is Vicky White, who is actually, I don't know how that happened because she's actually our vice president of the Apple user group out here.
Oh, really?
So somebody was cross-pollinating somehow. So, anyway.
Probably the other Ken.
Yeah, could be. Anyway, all right. So thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I guess it was a hard-fought battle in the campaigning the late hours of the night. And so the way that it works is since we are missing, we have one seat not filled on the member at large. So in January, when the new regime takes over, then they will try to solicit someone to do that. And yes, we are taking volunteers. Anyone that would want to do it. It really, it's not that tough. It's really, we are a volunteer-run organization, and we feel that it's important for people to present themselves. I mean, we seem to have the same volunteers all the time. So, anyway. Thank you, Bob, very much for that. I don't think we need to make a motion or anything, do we?
No.
That's just it. So at that point, let me go back to hang on here.
We need
Old
to
business.
I think I need to, I should have put this in again. So is there any old business that needs to be taken care of? Anybody have any old business?
Nope.
And that, Bob, that's not a reference to you this time, okay? All right. Any new business? Call for new business. All right. I need, again, say with your first and last name. Anyone can call for a motion to adjourn. Anyone can move to adjourn and second.
Al Trivet, make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. And a second.
Lisa Goodwill, all second.
All righty. And a voice vote to approve. Let's say yes if you approve. And if anyone objects, please speak up.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. So no one's speaking up to. So we will now adjourn the meeting at 7:24 p.m.
And thank you for your votes, everybody.
Woohoo!
Thanks,
It was a hard
Maria.
fought battle.
Congratulations, Maria.
Thank you.
Pop the
It's
champagne.
Maria Juan, by the way. It's Maria Juan. They got it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get back to our slide here. All right. So
Ooh, look at that.
we're going to do we have any, so current news, Al has some great stuff. I think what we'll do, Al, is let's because you're any of the new stuff, let's do that after we do the Zoom background thing.
Sure.
Any other rumors and stuff that are kind of cooking that you know of right now, that would be good.
Well, are you going to talk about the Apple Silicon stuff?
Yeah, we're going to talk about everything that was announced, but anything else besides that. I have one that was a rumor that came around is we think in the spring there'll be a new iMac, and I always thought it was going to be a little bit bigger, but the rumors are saying that there'll be a new lower end display. Well, excuse me, a not as high end of display as what they have now currently, and the replacement for the 27-inch iMac. Other than that, I haven't heard a lot of rumors.
No, of course, next week they're going to release Mac OS 12 Monterey and iOS 15.1. I'm looking forward to that. The
Yes.
15.1 is, generally you refrain from getting the 15. I'll usually wait to the 0.1 version of anything, and
Yeah.
I think they had some growing pains initially, and there were some things that were not initially implemented, and I'm not sure that it's all going to be even in the 15.1. So there may be certain features later on that manifest themselves.
Well, and I think the 15.1, the nice thing that I'm looking forward to is you'll be able to do your digital vaccine card
Yeah,
right in
yeah,
the phone and in the app.
yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to the FaceTime with friends on Android and Windows devices. That I have some friends that'd be nice to have that capability with, and be able to group all my open tabs in Safari. That'll be helpful.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to using SharePlay to watch movies along with some other friends. That'll be a good thing. And being able to AirPlay to your Mac from other devices, that's something I'm looking forward to, as well as the live text on your photos. Very definitely looking forward to that. I guess Google already has it. Google Lens, I think, is what they
No,
call
yeah,
it.
live text is already working. I've used it.
Have you? Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. Live text is wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, I was speaking yesterday to a sight impaired group, and I was showing them, which is a bit ironic, how to use that to have things that read it for them. But yeah, it's working just fine.
Yeah. I know in the I guess in the iOS 15.1, they're also going to have the lossless audio. They'll be able to give with the new AirPods 3 that were released and stuff. They're not quite as good as the AirPod Pro, but it's certainly a step up. And looking forward to the ProRes video that's also popping up, and it started with the iPhone 13 Pro and the 13 Pro Max and stuff for those who are serious videographers. That implementation will be on the native camera app. So that, looking forward to that. And like you said, the virtual vaccination cards, definitely looking forward to that. And for anyone who uses the Final Cut Pro or Logic or any of that stuff, they've updated all of those applications for the M1 and the M1 Max chips. There's also a little thing that's out there. I'm not sure if we have time, but it's a little something put together by this gentleman, AJ Cook, and it's a startup. It's a song from 45 years of Apple sounds. Very clever, very well done. Might want to check that out if we have time there.
That's in the beginning of the keynote, and I'm gonna.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend that everybody watches the keynote. So that is at the very beginning of the entire keynote.
Yeah. Other than the things that were announced there at the October 18th, of course, with the Apple Music Voice plan that for $5 a month for those folks who want to just use get a cheaper version of the Apple Music and use it across their HomePods, the AirPods, phones, and CarPlay. It's a few bucks cheaper. Probably students might enjoy that.
Well, and they do have a student plan, but this is what Al's saying here is actually pretty pivotal. If you're not subscribing to Apple Music for either your family at $14.99 or for an individual at $9.99, there is a $4.99 plan now, and the way it works though, it's kind of interesting. You're only doing it with Siri. So you're on any device and you have Siri do it for you. And it's limited, but I think it's kind of the gateway to get people into Apple Music. And I think it's pretty neat. So like if you have the HomePod Mini, you could just say the word "Hey" and the word Siri and tell it to play music, and it would. So for $4.99, that's much less than any of the other streaming services, and It's the full Apple catalog.
Yeah.
Mary has a question. Go ahead, Mary.
Well, it's not really a question. I was concerned when I got a new computer that all of the CDs that I had loaded onto, 2 computers ago would go away and I'd have to use iTunes, one of the subscriptions, but it appears that they stayed on the computer. So just if anybody else is wondering that, that's the answer.
Well,
They stayed there.
you may have used to had the iTunes Match would be the reason that would have it. You never had that? Interesting.
Nope.
Hmm.
We just loaded them onto the computer, and then every upgrade I've loaded them back on to
Yeah,
the
but you
new
said you did a
computer.
clean install, so that's okay though. That's great.
That's great.
Yeah, I did. Well, I just moved them with the Wi-Fi, and it worked. So
Oh, perfect.
just so you know.
Go ahead, Al.
Yeah. Also, if people are not satisfied with the just the generic color, HomePod Mini colors of white and space gray, I guess starting next month they're going to have yellow, orange, and blue. So if you're colorblind, it won't make any difference. But that's, they're pretty bright. They're pretty. Usually Apple doesn't go for garish colors and stuff, but in the same way that they used to sell all these various colored iMacs and stuff, they continuing to embrace that. Other than that, that's about all I have here, Ken.
Yeah, and we'll be going in a little
yeah.
bit more in depth during the presentation. So
Yeah,
Al
very
does
good.
a great job of ferreting this stuff out. He also does such a great job with when we have different meetings. He provides all those links that Bob puts in the blast that really, really are beneficial. And the other thing I should mention is the Facebook group for MacNexus. Al posts on that quite a bit. And when I'm on Facebook, it's amazing. I see stuff there that I hadn't even read about. So real good job, Al. We do appreciate it very much.
It's all good.
Thank you.
Happy to do it.
All right, so let's see
Yay.
here. Let's see. All right, so do we have any volunteer or member announcements? If so, unmute yourself. Happy anniversaries for everybody. So this is the time when we do tech Q&A. Bob, I don't think we had anything in the purple iMac or the purple Mac, I don't think, right? So nothing was mailed in. So this is where you can ask your technical questions. Go ahead and either raise your hand digitally. In fact, it'd be good to get used to doing that. Or if you need to raise your hand physically or just unmute yourself, that's fine. Anybody. Everything's working perfectly. That's good to know. Boy, I can retire. I like it.
Just a general announcement.
ahead.
The annual meeting took the same amount of time this year that it did last year.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. We started a bit later, so. Elaine, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm still on a 2010 MacBook Pro. I'm soon to get a new computer, but in the meantime, it seems like the speaker on this computer is maybe getting a little old. Like I'm hearing things a little bit distorted if I don't put my headset in. Is that something that happens? Do the speakers eventually kind of go?
They can, because and a couple things can cause it. It's a magnet in there is what it really, is it one side or the other side, or is it both?
I can't tell really.
Yeah. It's tough. The other thing that happens on a MacBook Pro is there's a microphone in the left speaker grill, and you can always test that by scratching your finger on it. So sometimes the speaker itself goes low, so it's not overwhelming that sound back into the microphone. So that could be an issue. But yeah, if you want some fidelity, you can always get a pair of cheap computer speakers or a Bluetooth speaker or something like that.
Yeah,
But
when I'm at home, I do have speakers I can plug in. I'm not at home right now. I'm on the East Coast, so I didn't bring the speakers. But
right. Yeah,
Okay.
so it can. Luckily, you brought your headphones, but the the little dome that's the speaker, they're plastic, and they, with age, they could go bad. It's one of those things. But what you could do is do a do I would do a what's called a reset SMC, and Al is probably rushing to get the link for that right now. And it'll be what you'll do is it's a reset. It's more than zapping the pram. It would reset the power controller, and so that way, if it's anything software related on the operating system, it would kick it out and make it be okay. Obviously, if it's hardware, a hardware problem, that's not going to be fixed.
I have one more quick thing,
Sure.
which is the finger pad on this computer seems to be really hard to press in order to
Okay.
do anything.
Have you looked? So that happens when the battery starts to swell, and the battery swells with age, and it can really be an issue. So you need to, do you have a case around the computer? A plastic case?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, examine your computer from the bottom and see if it's starting to swell out a little bit, because the battery sits right under the trackpad. And what happens when the battery swells, it creates pressure up on the trackpad. And so a way to alleviate that is in your trackpad settings, while you still can get in there, go up to the settings and enable tap to click. So you're simply tapping rather than clicking the trackpad. The
All right.
problem will happen is as the trackpad, as it gets more and more squeezed, it will just randomly kind of press. And so it makes it really difficult, and you'll have to get an external mouse at that point.
Yep. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And luckily, there's new ones out there now. And like I have the M1 MacBook Pro 13-inch, which I will be selling when as soon as my MacBook Pro comes in. So those are available, and it's a good price. So, Randy, you had your hand up for a second, and then you disappeared. Did we answer all your questions?
Well, yeah, just okay. No, on maps.
Okay, Randy, ask for a friend. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I did. Yeah, this is for a friend. No, actually, it's me. On Apple Maps and even Google Maps, I tried. If I want to use a specific route, I know with Apple Maps, I'm presented with 2, sometimes 3 different blue or dark blue colored lines, and I can choose, and that usually gets me there. But when I'm bound and determined to go one route, which includes a toll road that I specifically want to use, Apple will never, and neither will Google Maps, send me the way. They always send me the fastest way. Is there one way, if I'm bound and determined and I'm going to use a toll road, that I can get either?
Let me look, because on the maps things, there's a setting to say avoid toll roads, and
Right.
you don't want that. I know that, but
Right.
in Apple Maps, it doesn't look like that's a setting. And let me look in Google Maps. And you're talking about on your iOS device, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the other thing is you can use Waze, WAZE. But when you do these different ones, doesn't it? If you tell it to navigate, it'll automatically navigate the fastest. But if you
Right.
just go in and type in the destination you want to go, it should come up with 2 or 3 choices.
Oh, and it does. And
And then you choose which one you want.
and then it will say, well, you can save 5 minutes going this way the fastest, and I'll say no.
Well, but you actually choose the one. You choose the other one, and by tapping on it, and then it'll let you go.
that was the expectation, but the outcome did not match the expectation. But I'll keep trying. I'm just
And if you use Waze,
okay.
when you navigate in Waze, once your navigation is in, then you tap down below and you tap on routes, and it will come up with at least 2, but sometimes 3 different routes. And the nice thing is it'll just show you the statistics, or it'll have map view.
Manage and grow your
Okay.
business.
Great. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Maria, go ahead. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
On the maps, I was, Randy reminded me, I was trying to do something where I would go to 2 places, you know, like from home to
Yes.
X, Y to Z. And it doesn't seem to allow that. Am I missing something?
No, it's missing something.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So Google
Thank
Maps
you.
will let you do it, and then Waze does it a little differently. Like for instance, Waze, you would get your final destination, and then you would go search for an intermediate one. And when you say go, it says, do you want to add that as a waypoint or as a stop? And then it would do that. But the Google Maps, when you do it on iOS, the Google Maps is you pull it up, and then you tap the, there's a little expander, and then it lets you add multiple destinations. And that's how it works. All right, let me go back to the keynote and see. Any other questions? Great questions. Anybody else? Okay, so now we're going to do the Zoom background. So everybody got the email and the board. So it looks like, oh, we have Chris came on. But just, you know, we were languishing with not too many backgrounds there, and all of a sudden Chris came up. Dale's got his background going.
Okay.
So this is the time to get your Zoom backgrounds. We should penalize the people that didn't have them on early. Man,
freak
I
on.
tell you, I guess this is more like an unveiling, so that's good. So, hi, Joellen. All right, so the board members will look, and what we should do is we can narrow it down to, and I'm pulling up the thing. So the way this is working, there's 3 prizes for best Zoom background. The board members are not included. It's a $500 gift card for the first place, a $100 gift card for, oh wait, hang on here. That is not, I'm reading the wrong spot. I'm sorry. The background one, that's the raffle. The background is $20 for first place, $50 for second, and third place is $25. So it looks to me that we have some contenders. Alfreda, you know, your background's a little dark, so I don't think that's going to qualify. and Harmon's just got better because she showed up. So Harmon's background's better now. But we've got, looks like on backgrounds, we've got, oh, and Joellen did put hers up. So John Hart, Royce Thompson, Carolyn Monson, Chris Dodson, and Dale Steele. So what we'll do is, board members, we're going to have you, I'll read them off, and each board member can vote for 3, and then we'll whittle it down to the top 3 and go from there. In fact, Mary and Lee or Lisa, can you write down? We should be able to do this. So in the order I see them on my screen would be the same. So on John Hart, who votes for his background? And again, you're going to vote for 3. So board members, okay. Royce Thompson, he's got the train background there. You need to digitally raise your hand, you guys, please. That's the only way we can really tell. Well, we've got you guys all on the top. So hold your hand up again.
I'm trying to find
On the
Dale.
bottom, it's under reactions.
no, where's Dale? I don't see him.
He's the, well,
Oh,
maybe
there he is.
flip your screen.
He's the
back and forth.
tiger.
The train one. Okay. Okay, Lisa and Bob. So that's 2. Let me get this down here.
Which Bob?
Well, I don't see your hand up, so it's not you.
Oh, okay.
And I see Al.
Wait a minute, which
Somebody
one are
else
you
can-
doing?
You guys, don't put your hand down until I count there. Who had the
Wait. Which one are you doing, Ken?
Royce, the one that's
Royce.
train.
Oh,
Royce
okay.
Thompson.
Oh,
Okay, you got one of
And
those.
Mr. Ress, of course, votes for that because he's a 30,000 hour plus docent
Wow.
at the Railroad Museum. So, okay, Royce has 4. All right, and you're going to vote for 3. Okay, everybody that's had
Uh-oh.
your hand up, put your hand down, please. And the next one is Carolyn, and give us an explanation. That looks like it's from which one? And I'm not good with the Star shows. So is that Star Wars?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the bar in
The
the
bar.
Yeah.
Ah, is Jabba around then somewhere? So,
Oh, I love that.
yeah.
You know Al does.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm in on that.
And so is Lisa, it looks like.
My hand is over our cake. That's a cake from about 3 years ago. I just tuned up the numbers.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh. All right.
Okay, and then go ahead and lower your hands. I've got to lower them up. Keeps moving around on me. I keep moving here. Hang on. It's behind my iPad. There we go. All right, so Chris Dodson. That one's pretty cool. Is there an explanation on that one, Chris?
That is my niece at an art installation in San Francisco.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That is nice. Mhm.
yeah, Halloween.
That's cool. That's cool.
And all righty.
Oh, Jesus. So
And
that's
then
three.
Dale Steele's about to have looks like a lion nibble his shoulder off there. So those that want that one. Okay. Oh, Ray,
Oh,
yours doesn't count. Yours not a background. That's kind of your thing. Okay.
Let's see.
So 1, 2, 3. Dale.
okay, that's
And Joellen, that's down. Is that the wildlife or the
Yeah, it's the bats flying out at the YOLO bypass.
excellent. Okay. All righty. Got 4 there. Okay.
Wait a minute, Ken, 4 for whom?
That was Joellen.
Joe Ellen, thank you.
And you guys can lower your hands. So, Lisa, do you have 5, 3, 3, or 4? Or no, 4, 5, 3, 3, 4?
I don't have the second 3. The second 3 was for, I have Dale for 3.
Dale is 3 and Chris was 3.
Chris was 3.
I
Okay,
got
got
that
it.
too.
Okay.
We're good.
So our top 3 are Royce, Carolyn, and Joellen. So now what board you're going to, so again, let's point out those. So Royce is the train. Carolyn is the Star Wars scene. And Joellen is the bats. So you're going to vote once, and we'll kind of go in reverse order now. So those that want and you get 1 vote this time from the board of directors. Joellen for hers.
Wait a minute.
Okay. All right. And then go ahead and put your hand down. And then, so next would be the bar scene for Carolyn. And
1, 2.
so we got 5 on that. Okay. And then the train with Royce. And that's 6. Okay. Everybody, hang on.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Randy, we can't, you got to lower your hand, Randy. Sorry, it's just the board.
So that,
So we've got 3 for Royce. All right. So our first play, our third place is Joellen. You'll get in fact, if Lisa, if you wouldn't mind writing this down, so she gets the
Right.
$25 Amazon card.
Yep.
And
Wow.
then Royce got second place, and he gets the $50 Amazon off. And then Carolyn gets she's the winner. And
Woohoo!
she gets the $100.
Got it.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, Star Wars.
So now you'll notice, and I don't know why Mary isn't up with the rest of the rows here on my
I
screen.
am on mine, but
Yeah, but I'm just looking here. Oh, and you guys can lower your hands. That's part of it.
And I just ran out of ink.
All right. So now all of you in attendance here are going to vote for the background for the board of directors. And we'll just kind of give you all of them at one here. Rich Pearson has a very that's a made up background behind him, and that's actually his house and all the books he's read. Then there's mine. Then there's Al Trivet has a great. He somehow made the cake for 2021, which I think is really creative there, Al, because that's the old cake that we used to do. And the original Apple logo, and then gone through time. And then Lisa, you said that was the Coliseum, correct?
Right, full moon.
And that was a full moon, and it is appropriate, and that was 10 years ago. And Mary has some very festive balloons there
Very
around
nice.
her head.
Yeah.
And Bob White has some neat things. Is that Chihui, the Chihui glass?
Louis glass?
No,
Well, I tried.
it's in Loomis. There's one of the tourist traps. They have a bunch of painted mushrooms.
Oh, how cool is that?
That's painted mushrooms.
That's very cool.
nice. It is.
Very, very cool. All right. So what we'll do is we will go from what I have on my screen, upper left. So everybody gets to vote one time, and you have to digitally raise your hand. And the first one will be Rich Pearson. So with his natural background there, go ahead and raise your hand. If you're on an iPad, you tap the screen and hit the ellipsis and raise your hand. And then on the Mac, you go down to reactions. Okay. Next one is, I don't know if it's the same on your screen, but I'm the next one. So on mine it is. So if you're voting for my background here, raise your hand. And we have one, I think.
Nice
So
effect.
it's going to be a landslide, I think.
Two. All right. Everybody, okay, there's two for me. And go ahead and lower your hand. And then next I have is, I can lower those hands. Oh, you got them, good. So next is Al's wonderful MacNexus thing. Okay, the voting will close in a minute. There we go. A couple more. Anybody else? Last minute. If you can't get it, if you can't raise your hand, you can. Oh, there we go. Got 3 for Al. 4 now. Okay, good job.
All right, Al.
Al is 4. Okay, lower your hands, please. And let's see. Next was Mary at the Coliseum.
That's Lisa.
Sorry, Lisa at the Coliseum. My fault. Well, you knew it wasn't. I knew it wasn't Mary because I'd be calling her Maria. Remember?
Right.
So Lisa at the Coliseum. Okay, we've got a few Roman people there. Up. All right.
Oh.
1, 2, 3.
Nice.
Okay, everybody's in, I think. Up 6.
All right.
All right.
She pulls ahead.
Oh, Lisa.
Number 6.
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember, all counties have not been heard from.
yeah. So go ahead and lower your hands, those of you that voted for that. And now we have Mary, or commonly called Maria, if she's a write-in ballot, for her festive balloons.
Woohoo.
All righty. Okay.
2, 3.
And Now it's Bob White, the OG, with the painted
OG.
mushrooms, which are very cool.
That is so good.
Painted mushrooms.
Painted mushrooms.
All righty. We'll give it another second or two here. Okay, Bob for 3. Well, it looks like the Coliseum wins. So
Woohoo!
congratulations,
All
Lisa.
right, Lisa.
Fantastic.
Italy thanks you. Rome thanks you.
Yeah, and the full moon and all that. So wonderful, wonderful.
Buena
Hey,
noche.
Thank you all.
Oh,
that's
look at
pretty
Birdie.
good. We wanted to try do something different this time, and it was different. So, all right. Let's see. Moving right along, we have some sad news to pass along. A longtime volunteer for MacNexus who's helped many, many people in triage, Kimberly Coy is up with Steve Jobs now. So they're commiserating on some of the new hardware and software and stuff. But we lost Kimberly Coy, so it wasn't COVID, and her son, one of the members or ex-members, was talked to her son, and she just passed of natural causes. So anyway, she'll be missed, and it's we're losing members quicker than we should, and especially volunteers. So unfortunate. And Royce, did you have a further question, or was that your raised hand from the voting? You're okay, so I can lower your hand, nod your head. Okay, got it. All right, so let's see here. Oh, and it sounds the service will be just family, close family for the service. So anyway, sorry to pass that along, but I thought it was important. So the contest was great, and we're actually pretty well on schedule. So if there's any questions at this point, otherwise, we're going to go on and talk about some of the things that were discussed at the event that just happened. And let me pull up the slide here. Yeah. Come on, Zoom. There we go. A little bit of pilot error here. Okay. So, 37 years ago, 37 and a half years ago is when the Mac was introduced. And what I find wonderful is the brand new iMacs that are out, the 24-inch iMacs, they've gone back to when you first fire it up, you get this script of hello right on it like that. And pretty amazing. This was revolutionary when it came out, and it's amazing. And I recently watched the presentation from January 9th, 2007, when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone. And the interesting thing there was he said that was Mac OS 10 on an iPhone. And so, it really, the iPhone has its roots way back to the early Macintosh. Back in 1984, Reagan was president. It only took 20 cents to mail a first-class stamp, and it was there. A gallon of gas was $1.27. A movie ticket was $3.36, and the federal minimum wage was $3.35. So for 1 hour, you could buy a movie ticket. The slang was gnarly or cool, dudette, dude and dudette, like totally, grody, rad, and gag me with a spoon. So, members only jackets. Oh gosh. Acid washed denim. Well, that's coming back, and now it's acid washed and holes in it. Oh, original jams, parachute pants, Converse Chuck Taylors, Reebok high tops, Esprit, and one of my favorites, Guess jeans. the Swatch watches, and now we have smart watches, Wayfarer sunglasses, and Peg Bundy big hair. So, um, what number 3? Say, Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. Footloose by Kenny Loggins. I thought some of these were pretty darn cool. So, and where's the beef ad in the lower right
Yeah.
corner? That was great. Dynasty in Dallas was the big shows, and in theaters, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Woohoo!
So, yeah, I'm going to be in a few weeks. I'll be in that area where some of that was filmed. I'm going to be in Morocco and then Petra in Jordan, and then to Egypt. So I'll look forward to some of that. So let's see. AT&T was broken up. Where's the beef? The first Mac went on sale. An untethered spacewalk. Let's see. What are some of the others? MTV. Let's see. What was? The Band Aid that they did. And crack, a smokable form of cocaine, was first introduced to Los Angeles. All right. Okay, so moving on along. It was 10 years ago on October 5th that we lost Steve Jobs. And I remember that, and I pulled this image up specifically because this was an art student from Hong Kong that did this Apple logo this way. And it went around the internet pretty quick, but to me, that's just perfect. It really does embody Apple and Steve Jobs. I was going to talk about iPhone photography, but I just wanted to show you these. These are some iPhone pictures. These were from a year ago. And your iPhone is just a fantastic camera. And I am blown away with how good the 13 Pro Max is. I thought the 12 Pro was just amazing. The new one is, I didn't have hopes that it would be that much better. And those are the old 12 one. So the phone, again, introduced on January 9th, 2007, and it went on sale June 29th or January 9th. But I wanted to show the specs here. A 3.5-inch diagonal screen and a 2 megapixel camera, and it was $499, and you could get an 8 gigabyte version. So now it's got actually it doesn't show the megapixel on the camera, but what is it? It's like I forget what it is. It's 2 megs or something. But anyway, the phone prices have not gone up appreciably since then. So let's talk about the MacBook Pros. Well, first, Al, did you want to, because you covered a lot of the things that were at the presentation, other than the MacBook Pro, were there any other things you wanted to add?
No, not really.
Okay. So I think as we go through this, please, if you have any questions, raise your hand digitally. I won't be able to see if you raise your hand physically, but someone else can alert me to that. But the other thing is go ahead and unmute yourself and ask questions, because we're going to cover mainly the MacBook Pro now that was put out. And boy, I'll tell you, it's pro in every way, and it's amazing. There's 2 sizes. So we still have the MacBook Pro 13-inch, which is the original M1 processor. So the M1 Apple Silicon processor is in the MacBook Pro 13-inch, the MacBook Air 13-inch, and the Mac Mini at this point, and the newer 24-inch iMac. And the 24-inch iMac replaced the 21.5-inch iMac. And that's a beautiful machine. It's just great. But the new MacBook Pros, so the problem with the M1, the traditional chip, and the M1 chip is actually, it's amazing. It's a chip, it's essentially a takeoff on the chip that's in the phone. And it's amazing, because what they've done is we used to have a CPU, or the brain, the computer, the central processing unit was one chip. And then there was usually a graphics card or a graphics chip on the motherboard, which handled all the graphics, all the different things. Then you had RAM, which is the memory of the computer, and that's where when you open up a photo, it gets put there, and it's very fast and it interacts. And then we had storage, which used to be a spinning hard drive, and then it became a solid state hard drive, and then it became basically a chip that's right on the board itself. Well, what Apple has done is, obviously for an iPhone and for an iPad, all of those things, you have a very small area to work with. So they did what's called SoC, or system on a chip. And it takes all four of those components and puts them in one chip. So what you've done is you've made it so there's not this connector over the circuit board to another piece of hardware, and you don't have that lag time. And you also don't have this whole nother piece of hardware that is using the battery and using up energy and producing heat. Because your phone, if you think about it, your phone does amazing thing. It is a supercomputer that you put in your pocket, and it doesn't even have a fan on it, and it rarely even gets warm. So that chip can do so much. And by getting them very close together, but then the other big thing is they've done what's called shrink the die. So what that means is, previously, chips were 5 and 7 nanometers, which is the thickness. And the thickness of that chip, the thicker it is, obviously there's wasted space, so it's slower and it creates more heat. So Apple is the master chip designer in the world right now. Intel cannot produce anything close to this. Apple engineers design the chip. And you got to remember, these silicon chips are built in many, 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 many layers. And they have to, it's amazing what they can do. And it's almost like a silk screening process in these multiple layers of this silicon chip. And there's a TSMC, which is Taiwan Semiconductor, is who manufactures the chip. And that's the most advanced, it's called a chip foundry. So they make chips for other people. And Apple is their biggest vendor. So they produce Apple chips, and Apple's been really good about being able to get enough chips. And that TSMC chip that's in this thing, the M1, is incredible. But what they've done is they've also made the M1, they've given it more horsepower now for the real MacBook Pros. They have an M1 Pro and an M1 Max. And I'm going to go to a little video here, and we're going to, it's a minute and a half. So here we go. Or not. Come on. Oh, demo fail. Okay, hang on. Why isn't it loading? Okay, here we go.
We've created something wild. With a fire in its belly. This thing draws everything in, moving silently, night and day, into the deepest blacks and brightest lights. Its eye, razor sharp. Its sound, deafening. Pretty. Dangerous. So why would anyone give this beast more power? You'd have to be reckless. What have we done? And more importantly, what will you do?
So I think that volume was not loud enough. Hopefully you could hear it. I apologize for that. I had it maxed on my end. So let's go to the keynote. So again, so what they've done is now they have a 14 and a 16 inch. In the past, we used to have a 13 inch and a 15 inch. And then more recently, we've had a 13 inch and a 16 inch in the MacBook Pros. But the 13 inch was always under spec. It was not the true Pro MacBook Pro. That's still the case with the 13 inch with the M1, but the 14 inch and the 16 inch spec for spec are almost exactly the same all the way through. So it really just comes down to size, because most of the specs are the same. Yes, there's some small differences, but they could be configured exactly the same. And they've really done a great job. What they've done is they've shrunk the bezel on the top so that the new 16 inch is in a smaller footprint than the old 16 inch was, because they've made the screen larger, but they've shrunk the bezel, the band around the sides, so that it doesn't have to take up as much room. They've gotten rid of the touch bar, and now they have full-size function keys up there. And they're both really, really amazing. The 16 inch can have up to 21 hours of battery life on playback. The other really great thing is they've brought back some ports, like down here in the corner. We now have 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. It has an SD card for your Pro cameras, and there's HDMI. So like when we have real live presentations, I don't have to have a dongle. I can plug the HDMI cable right directly into it. So that's really neat. And the best part is the regular Pro will support 2 additional monitors, and the Max will support at least 3 additional monitors. So that's where you saw the screen where the person had 3 monitors plus the one on the laptop. So it's super powerful. Its battery lasts a long time. They're going to stay very, very cool. They have improved speakers, and they are pro in every sense of the word. And they have a brand new what's called mini LED display, which means there's these little pixels that are all backlit on it. So the difference between the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. The M1 Pro is the more or less standard chip, and the M1 Max is a chip that allows you to do more, have more displays, but also it's got double the graphics capability. This is something that video editors will go crazy on. When I was watching the presentation, I thought, oh my gosh, that thing is so highly spec'd. I thought it was going to be a ton more money. Well, actually, the same spec, when you go from an M1 Pro to the M1 Max, and there are 2 Max chips, it's only a $200 jump, or if you go with the other Max chip, it's a $400 jump. So it's pretty darn amazing. And Alice boasted some the specs on it. So this is the M1 Pro chip. As I said, it's a 5 nanometer process, which means it's really, really just amazingly small. Support for 2 displays. There's 33.7 billion transistors. Transistors in the old day, think of what tubes used to be. So each tube would be 1 transistor. There's 33.7 of those. A billion, excuse me. 10 cores. The amount of cores you have is the speed of it. So it used to be that the speed of a processor was what everybody got really gaga about, but it seemed to have maxed out around 4 megahertz on that, or 4 gigahertz, excuse me. But now what you do is you add extra cores. So instead of making it faster, you have more things doing the same task. It'd be like if you have one person that's really fast at counting, can count so much. But if you had 10, in this case, 10 people counting, you could do the same job 10 times quicker. And what that is the way it's designed here is you have 8 cores that are for performance, and then you have 2 cores that are low energy, which actually is when you need to not use, when you don't do powerful things, it can back it back down to give you additional battery life. And then this GPU is the graphics processing unit. And to have 16 cores of those is just amazing. So that's the M1 Pro. And then you go to the M1 Pro Max. Now you've doubled the memory bandwidth. And what the memory bandwidth is the ability for the chip to talk to the RAM. So you have a 10-core GPU here again, but you only have 2 of the low-speed processors. But you've got 32 cores for the GPU, which is incredible. And actually, it says here support up to 4 displays. I thought they had said 3. So now instead of 33.6 billion transistors, you have 57 billion transistors. So this thing is a powerhouse, and it still has great battery life. I'm gonna get this and use it as my desktop machine hooked up with 2 monitors, and then I can take it with me the rest of the time. So pretty darn amazing. So here's the chips, just to put it in perspective. And this is actually an electron microscope view of the chip. And believe me, these are much larger than they really are. But the M1 is the current one that's on the iMac, the Mac Mini, the MacBook Air, and the 13-inch MacBook Pro. So the new M1 Pro is a much bigger chip. And then the M1 Max, if you look at it, it's got more than half again as much surface area on it. And these are all transistors is what they are. So in other words, they have more pathways and more transistors, so it can do more stuff simultaneously. The M1 Pro and the M1 Pro Max, if you look at relative performances on the side and then power consumption. So the gray ones right here are typical laptop Intel chips or even AMD. But you'll see this, that as they start to use more and more, they get higher in the performance, they're using tremendous amount more power consumption. Power consumption will be in decreased battery life, but also the amount of heat that it puts out. So in this case, when you take a bar graph this is as fast as this 8-core will go. And if you go right here, there's still so much more room left in how much power it's using. And the M1 doesn't max out at performance, but look at this, it just barely uses any power at all. And that's amazing, and that's because Apple is so good at designing the chip, and they've been working on it a long time. They've been making their own chip, I think, since the iPhone 4 is when Apple started making their own. They don't make the chip, they design the chip, but then they take it to a foundry to have it made. Because Apple does not want to be in the chip making business because it's very expensive, and there's no need because those chip plants need to be running 24/7. So on the right-hand side here, it gives you the MacBook Pro 13-inch, and that's the M1 chip. Then the 14 and the 16 down through here are virtually the same specs all the way down. You can get up to an 8 terabyte drive in that machine, but that'll cost you many thousands of dollars. So the memory is still fairly expensive, the storage is still fairly extensive. So the M1, the current 13-inch, it up to 20 hours of battery life. The 14, because it's got a chip that takes a little more energy, it's only down to 17 hours of battery life, and then 21 hours of battery life in the 16. And what limits laptops is they can only have a 10,000, 100-watt battery is what it is, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to fly in the airline with it. So the limitation is, and that's where these other real powerful laptops, even the Intel Macs or other laptops, they don't get very good battery life because they're limited by the size of the battery, because nobody would want to not be able to fly with their laptop. So having this chip does tremendous things to be able to get pretty much all day and part of the night battery life. The weight differences and 3 pounds, 3.5, and 4.7. And to be honest, most of that 4.7, it's a little bit bigger enclosure, but that is the extra battery. So one other thing that's not mentioned here, it's so cool on the new 14 and 16, the MagSafe connector is back. That's the little power connector that goes into the side. And if you happen to trip on the cord, it doesn't pull your laptop down onto the floor. So that's really, really a good thing. And that's great that it's come. So, and by having, they both have the 3 Thunderbolt, which is USB-C ports in that. So I think that was it. So I am open to questions. Oh, you know what? Hang on. I've got, let's go to the web page. So this is the web page for it. And it goes right down through everything. Here's the look of it. So this is the right-hand side. On the left-hand side of the screen is the right-hand side. You have an HDMI port. You have a USB-C, or as they call it, Thunderbolt 4 port. And then this is the SD card slot. And you'll notice these little slits along here. Those are for better cooling. So the fans are virtually are quiet, and the fans will rarely ever come on unless you're really doing something dramatic. Because if you're editing 8K video or something like that. Then this is the headphone jack. This is the other 2 USB-C or Thunderbolt 4 ports, and this is where the MagSafe connects. And the MagSafe gives it a lot of power, and it's really amazing. So let's look here. It's just, and it renders stuff incredibly. And to be honest, I think I only need, I don't need the Max for what I do, but the price difference was not that bad at all. And it will take a little bit of a hit. So here are the realistic times. Wireless web browsing is what you look at. Video playback does not really tax the battery that much, but that is a benchmark that they use in these things. So 14 hours of web browsing. This is the way the cooling fans work is, so the red is it expels the hot air from inside the computer. So the blue area here from the back, it comes in and it circles around the fan and goes out. And then this one also sucks in air from the side and circles it around, and it goes out that side there. It's really, they have one on each side, and Apple does a special thing with their fans. They actually make the fan blades not symmetrical, so you won't hear a noise from them. They won't give that whir or that roar. The Retina display, people that I've talked to that's seen it, it's just really amazing. They've also made this panel super, super thin. The lid is very thin, and they have a special process they did here that really made it amazing. So are there mini LEDs? All those little pixels are there. And it's higher resolution than any of the current laptops. And you can do a million colors? Like you could tell the difference. The other neat thing is the camera, the forward-facing camera in it is 1080p now, which is high definition. And you will notice there's a little notch like it is in the current Face ID iPhones. It's a dead spot in the Finder anyway, because you have that bar up there, and your mouse will just zip right past it. So, Harmon, you have a question. Go right ahead.
How do all of these external monitors attach?
So, the one could be used with the HDMI, which would be a lower end monitor, because it'll only go up to high definition. I think it actually goes up to 4K, excuse me. But then everything else is attached through the USB-C ports or the Thunderbolt 4 ports. And you should be able to daisy chain the displays. If the monitor supports Thunderbolt, then you plug the first one in, and then you plug the second monitor into the first one. So it shouldn't tie up all those ports. but it is through that port. That port is wicked fast. So for instance, if you decided to put, obviously it does a few displays, but if you were to put a hard drive, a solid state hard drive, a very fast one into that, it would be as fast accessing that hard drive externally, or the solid state drive externally, as if it was internal on the previous Intel MacBook Pros. It's amazingly fast.
So that's the same kind of connector as my MacBook Air has.
How old is your MacBook Air?
A year.
So is it the M1 MacBook Air?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it should be, but this one is probably, so yours is probably yours is probably Thunderbolt 3 if it's this. Yours might even just be what's called USB-C. And it's the same connector, but this has got much higher bandwidth and much faster speed, but it's obviously backwards compatible to anything. But this will support the new monitors that are 6K. Does that make sense? Yeah, if your MacBook Air is not an M1, I think it's probably Thunderbolt 3 or at least USB-C, which you can run monitors off this, but this can run multiple monitors and much bigger. The old MacBook Airs that weren't the M1, they were a little lacking in the graphics card capability. That was always the difference between the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro. The current ones, the current MacBook Air is pretty much almost the equivalent of the current MacBook Pro 13-inch from graphics capability. Did that answer it, or did I make it more confusing?
No, that's good. I wasn't planning to plug in multiple monitors to the MacBook Air, but I just trying to get an idea of the configuration.
Yeah, well, if you wanted to, it looks like it can support 3 of the $6,000 monitors that Apple makes. So, but it's interesting, just a little story behind that. These displays that they make are incredible, and they seem to be expensive at $6,000. Well, they're actually $5,000, but you pay an extra $1,000 for the fancy stand, unless you're going to hang it up. But the monitor this would be in like a Hollywood major motion picture studio environment is what they're designed for. The monitor that they're going after and replacing is a $40,000 monitor from Sony. And that, because it's incredibly, it's got the beautiful, your pixel depth and everything, your colors are perfect. But that Sony monitor, after between 15 or 20 minutes of use, the people have to shut the monitor off to let it cool down while it's doing other stuff, and then they can come back in and do it. So $6,000 sounds like a lot, but when you're replacing a $40,000 monitor and it's a better monitor, it's a bargain. And that's just in those heavy duty studios. Great mics inside. I think there's spatial audio with a 6-speaker system. One thing, the difference between the 14 and the 16, the size of the speaker grills are a little bit bigger, obviously, because the keyboards are the same between the 14 and the 16. So the little larger speaker grill will give you more fidelity. But they did a real interesting thing here on the subwoofers. There's 4 subwoofers in it, and they're kind of on the right-hand edge of the silver palm rest. They're not up in the speaker grill because a subwoofer doesn't need to have a speaker grill. But what they've done is, because of vibration, they have one of the subwoofers firing up, and right on the back of it, another subwoofer firing down. And what that does is it balances out so you don't get vibration out of it. It's really, really amazing. I've never seen that done before. Oh, and here are the connectors, and they actually labeled them here. And again, the good old MagSafe connector. The light will turn as you plug it in when it's charging, and it works amazing. The keyboard in the upper right corner is a fingerprint reader. So for you to be able to do your passwords and everything else, you can just use your Touch ID on that, and you just touch it, and it does a great job. And again, the touch bar is gone. I never got used to the touch bar. It had no use for me or most people. It will ship with Monterey. Monterey will be available on the 25th. Hold your horses on it. Let's wait and see what happens. I don't know. I'm not jumping on it right away because I'm leaving on a trip on the 30th, and the worst thing I could ever do would be to update my software before I go do something like that. So I would hold back on it.
Ken, Bob
Yeah.
Rush has his hand up.
Oh, Bob, I'm sorry I didn't see it.
Hi, Ken. When you take and set up the laptop like you're going to, where it's in basically a desktop computer, what effect does that have on the battery that you've got it plugged in all the time?
Well, good question. So the Apple batteries are smart enough, and they have great computers in them, and they charge smartly. In fact, even the current M1 that I have in the MacBook Pro 13-inch, I can tell it to smartly charge the battery so that it won't always take it to 100%. Because the 100% is where it kind of the battery starts to wear if it stays at 100%. Actually, on my screen right now, you can see that it is at 100%, but I think I can go in and go, let's look. There's a setting. Yeah, optimize battery charging. To reduce battery aging, your Mac learns from your daily charging routine so it can wait to finish charging past 80% until you need to use it on battery. So that is something that's built into, I think it started in Catalina, but it's definitely in Big Sur. And that's nothing specific to the M1. That's something they have new. And by the way, that's an option on the iPhone now too. My feeling on the iPhone is I look at reality. And you and I know, because we have about 7,000 batteries under our car, and we know how important battery is. But I know of two people that had 8 minutes to evacuate their house during the devastating Paradise Fire. And if someone was trying to manage their battery by not letting it charge all the way and doing that, what happens in that case when all of a sudden you need it? You get a power outage, you need it for a flashlight, different things. The ever so slight additional degradation to your battery by not having it plugged in all the time, or by having it plugged in all the time, is well worth the trade-off. And again, there's the smart charging in there, and it really does a good job of managing it. But when you need your phone in an emergency, you really need it. Let's just say, all of a sudden you have a family member that had to go to the emergency room, and you leave to go there. Well, all of a sudden you've got your phone there, and you had 30% life in your battery, and you're having to be at that hospital for hours. It is not worth it in the long run to worry about it. I charge my battery. I get in my car as soon as I put it in the holder right there. It's always charging. It's always charging, just out of habit, and it's there when I need it. So if you want to really manage the battery, you can go crazy and obsessed with it, but you're only ever so slightly going to increase your battery life, and batteries aren't expensive to replace. There, now Al gets a pretty cool background. Good job, Al. So, Bob, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Great. So the other thing is too, you can trade in. When I did the trade in, it looked like my MacBook Pro 13-inch is worth about $1,200. Don't forget, it's a good time to use the Apple Card if you want. There's other accessories. You can, like for me, where I'm using it as a desktop. Does somebody have two devices on? I keep hearing an echo. Elaine, go right ahead.
I want to ask you something about what you said just a few minutes ago when you mentioned Monterey. The new computers are shipping with Monterey, but you said hold off. Do you mean hold off upgrading our current computers to Monterey?
Yes.
Is that what you
Yes,
meant?
and yours
Okay.
won't do it anyway because you said yours was like a 2011.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it will. I just we always say hold off because you never know what's going to happen. So,
Yeah. Thanks.
yeah, and Big Sur is pretty safe now, but I still say Mojave I think is a better operating system. And you probably can't even do Mojave. You're probably on High Sierra, I would imagine. So. Anyway, there's a thing here where you can compare all Macs. Apple's done a really good job with stuff like this. You can really get down into the nitty gritty now. So that's pretty much it. The MacBook Pros, as Al mentioned, they introduced a few other things. A new AirPod Pro, but it doesn't have the rubber tips and it doesn't have the noise canceling. So it's intermediate between the old AirPods and the AirPod Pro. So and I'd say AirPods are fantastic. Just they're the best thing since sliced bread. I use them everywhere. Let's see. I think Al covered everything else. I'm looking at the notes here. MacBook Pro. Yeah, iOS 15.1 should be coming out soon. And oh, you know what? Yeah, Al put a link to that. So those of you that have been around Apple for a long time, you always know there's the startup chime. So let me find where Al put that. Al put so much stuff in here.
It was hysterically funny.
We'll stay tuned for a report.
Mr. Ress, you need to mute your microphone. Let's see. I'm looking through Al's notes on this with the sound thing, and I can't find it. Oh, yeah, definitely go watch the keynote. He's linked the keynote in here, and like usual, we'll have those.
I'll post it here again there, Ken.
Yeah, thanks. I'm just going back. Go ahead and click it in if you don't mind, Al.
Yeah, not a problem.
And was my volume way low on that video I played?
A little, but it was not bad.
No, I'm going to go in and do a system adjustment on that. So let me do that first.
Links up.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. Let me go and put my sound, because it's really weird how I have to do this with Zoom. And there we go. Output. Oh, it's all the way. Okay. So this is what was played at the very beginning of the keynote, and it's really, really cool. A Bondi Blue iMac. the different sounds and startups over
Right.
time, and that was pretty good.
That was very clever.
Yeah, very good. And I mean, Apple liked it so much that that's what they started the whole presentation off with.
Sweet.
And that's what's, by the way, behind me. This was before they got into the Unleashed event, was this video that I'm using for my background. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. And Lisa has a question. Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, this is embarrassing, but what is the difference? I mean, all the connectors that are out there, and there's a USB 3 and a USB C. What's the difference?
Lisa, don't. Hey, look.
Or
Believe
if it's too
Oh, no,
simple
you're not-
for this, just
No, it's not. But don't feel bad about that, because it's like a moving target, and then you just think you got it, and then boom. And so no, it's wonderful. So USB. So the original USB was just called USB, and what you had was A, which was the end that goes in the computer, which it can either go in or not go in, and it's a 50-50 chance. But how come it's like never goes in the first try, and you might get back to the third try and then it doesn't work again? So that's the problem there. One little tip, if it's like on a laptop, if you look on one side of the silver on the USB, there's a little slit where it's folded together, and that will always be down. So, but usually it's in a tough light situation. So that's a USB-A connector, but that connector worked for USB 1, or was just called USB, USB 2, which was a little faster, and then USB 3 is even 3.1 is faster than that with that connector, okay? Obviously, on the other end, you have different connectors. You have like the lightning connector that works on your iPhone. You have a printer one that's a little bigger. A portable hard drive may have a weird little connector on it. But those are all USB-A to some other kind on the other end. And by the way, you can tell it's USB 3 if it's a blue in the middle, the little plastic inside the thing. If it's blue, that means it's USB 3, which is faster. So then it evolved to USB-C. USB-C is faster than 3, but the connector is very small, and it's what we're using currently. The new, those Thunderbolt connectors I just showed you on this laptop are really the USB-C size. We'll talk about Thunderbolt in a second. But USB-C can go in either way, which is like a godsend. And the nice thing is Apple's done a good implementation of it, where it actually goes in and it has a little resistance, because USB-C is kind of known to kind of work its way out. But USB-C is much faster. It can be. It can also carry a lot of current. In fact, you can charge these MacBooks and previous MacBooks through the USB-C cable. And your new iPhones that have come, your new iPads, one end is USB-C and the other end is Lightning, except if you have the iPad Pro and the new iPad Mini. So the Lightning, and that charges faster. So a USB-C can carry more current, which allows the devices to charge faster. But also, when it carries data, USB-C is much faster. So USB-C, that shape, and it's a really thin oval.
Mhm.
USB-C is also, in Apple's case, Thunderbolt 3 or Thunderbolt 4. And what all that is, but they're backwards
Still a-
compatible. So Thunderbolt 4 is the current iteration, but Thunderbolt 3 is the same size and they interchange. But Thunderbolt 4 can really move data super quick. So that's why I said you could put an external drive that will be as fast as an internal drive would have been. But it's very, very, very versatile. The iPad Pros, the new iPad Mini, the iPhone is the only thing that hasn't really gone over to USB-C yet. And frankly, I think the Lightning is a better implementation because it goes in and it clicks. But then what happens is, so like Mary just got the new 24-inch iMac, and she has some old USB-A type plugs, the old plugs that she needs to plug into it. Well, the computer doesn't have that. It's only got USB-C and Thunderbolt 4, which are or 3, which are the same. So you have to buy a little thing called a dongle or a dock. And what it does is it plugs into the USB-C, and then it has multiple things. You can plug your regular USB, like your backup hard drive or your printer, things like that. So that's an adapter, and you spend $20 for those, and you've got it covered. Everything will be transitioning to USB-C. So if you get a printer that has a USB cable, it'll start to be USB-C. If you get anything else that charges, like the HomePod Mini has USB-C connector, where the old one just had a power plug. The Amazon devices will start to come with it. So USB-C is where it's going, and it's been going that way for a long time, but the other peripherals have to catch up. Now, Lisa, it's a fantastic question. Did that answer it?
Well, it's going to have to soak in, but at least you made me feel good about my confusion.
Oh yeah, and yeah, don't.
Sorry, it was a good definition. I'm lost in the weeds, so it's just going to take me a while to figure it out, and then they'll change everything. So
Well, I think USB-C is going to be here for quite a while because there's a lot they can do to expand the bandwidth in it. And actually, if we look back at a little history, believe it or not, it was when the original iMac came out, it had USB. And very few computers had USB at the time.
Mm-hmm.
There was serial, and then the Macs all had FireWire. And so, that was revolutionary for two reasons. It had a built-in CD DVD player, which was unusual back then, and it had USB. And then all the keyboards were USB, and that stupid mouse that you could never know which way it was turned, But yeah, so that goes full circle. But yeah, that's how long USB's been around.
Yeah, I just knew that when I bought a new iPhone and a new iPad Pro, December of 2019, and I was so excited when I unboxed them, and then I saw, of course, that the iPhone was a Lightning connector and the iPad was another one. It was like, really, guys, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the regular USB to Lightning. So yeah, and USB, because before that we had serial and parallel was the interface for printers and things like that. And there was a big Centronics 50 pin connector and all this other weird stuff. Well, USB stands for Universal Serial Bus is what USB stands for. And the ABC and all that is just the different iterations of the speed.
Check the chat there, Lisa.
Yeah, I'll post the link.
I hope they're pictures. I need flash.
Yeah, one of them there's a lot of pictures in there.
Good.
Mary,
Tim,
go
that
right
kind
ahead
of
with the question.
Yeah, that kind of raises two questions because you're exactly right. I'm looking at the back of my computer and it's got two USB 3s and two USB 4 Thunderbolts. And when you said something, can I get a dongle with multipliers and that'll be okay in the back?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then the second thing is, then this
email me. If you email me, I have one that's about 20 something bucks. It's an Amazon I've had good luck with, but most of them work. And it can have multiple things, and it can even have HDMI or even a camera card port on it, depending on what you want on those. So the dongle, it's called, it plugs into, in your case, it plug into either.
Okay.
If it's something that you want, if it's a new device, like your phone where it goes, the Thunderbolt cable, the Thunderbolt ports, you have two Thunderbolt and you have two USB-C. Right. Well, to be honest, all four are USB-C, but two have the added advantage of being Thunderbolt capable, which means they can pass data quicker if the device can handle it, Doesn't, and if it can't, it just dumbs it down to USB-C, and
Okay.
it can have more power output to power something off of it. So in other words, for charging your iPhone, you plug it into the Thunderbolt, you'll get a little bit better power throughput through it. It's not much difference on power, but for data, it's a big difference.
Okay. And then the last, hopefully the last question for tonight. Historically, we've always connected our desktops with Ethernet. And
Yeah.
I saw that there is something that it's a Thunderbolt to Ethernet connection. Is that something?
You don't need that, because here's the deal.
Okay.
There are two versions of the 24-inch iMac. One has only 2 ports on the back. And if you have the one with 4 ports, if you look on your power brick, so the magnetic connector in the back of the computer down to the power brick, with the 4-port version of the 24-inch iMac, you have an Ethernet port on the power brick, and it gets to the computer through that. It's ingenious what they've done.
Very cool.
Except for that's not so. So I don't use the power brick, the Ethernet cord.
You put the Ethernet cord. So your Ethernet cord used to go from your router directly into your computer, right?
Right.
So all you do now is one end stays in the router, and you plug it into the power brick, and it goes through the cable from the power brick up into the Mac, and it senses it right there. It's a brilliant solution, and it's a great way to keep cables off your desk. And I'm wondering if that's what they're going to do with the laptops, the MacBook Pros. Mary, we can deal with that later, because everybody doesn't need to watch you try find it. But there is an Ethernet opening on your power brick, because you told me you had 4 ports. The 24-inch iMac that comes with 4 ports is the one that has that. And we'll move on to Bev. Go ahead, Bev.
What is the power brick?
The power brick is, have you had a Mac laptop before?
I have a MacBook Air.
Okay, so you have the cable that goes to the computer, and it's attached to this brick. It's a white thing that's the size of an old pack of cigarettes, right?
Oh, okay, that thing.
That's the power brick. You don't have it on yours. You don't have an Ethernet cord on yours. Only the 24-inch iMac, and only the one that has 4 ports on it.
Okay.
So, but that's a power brick, and she has that on the iMac. The power supply used to be built into the iMac, because it has to convert AC current to DC current. That's what those do. Well, the new iMac is so thin, there's no room for a power supply, so they make it external, just like in the laptops.
Okay.
And it's brilliant. It's got a magnetic coupler right in the back of the screen, and it just pops on there. It's brilliant.
Well, that's like on my MacBook Air, which is probably 2014 vintage. It has that magnetic detection.
Yeah, this one's even a heavy duty, though. This is carrying a lot of current. Yeah. All right.
Georgiana has a sample she's showing us.
Oh, there she goes. That's a power brick. Or when it's plugged into the wall, sometimes we call those wall warts.
The wall wart. That's what I know it as. Yeah, this is from my MacBook Air circa 2011.
Yeah, so that with the iMac, your little end piece can go off, and you can extend that with a cable. So on the MacBook, the new iMac, the power brick's in the middle. There's a cord from the wall, and then there's a cord to the thing. Yeah, that's a wonderful setup. Yeah. Great question. All right. Any other questions? I think everybody's ready for the raffle. Let's, so we have, do we have some numbers, Lisa?
33 on the Zoom member raffle.
Yep, hang on one sec, and 321. So the way this is going to work is we have Siri generate a random number. Oh, and I hope it doesn't do it on my HomePod. Oh no, I'll click the button to do it. So if for some reason, so I'm going to be doing, and I'm sorry, I didn't write that down, Lisa. What's the number 30 what?
33.
33, got it. So those are our members in attendance. So for these first drawings, it will be 1 through 33. If when I say to Siri and it doesn't go in right, we throw that one out and we redraw. So what we're drawing for is, because this is our anniversary meeting and we always do a bigger raffle than usual. There is, for attendees, there's a $500 gift card to the company that starts with Amazon. I don't want to say Amazon or it'll wake up my speaker. We have 3 $100 gift cards and 4 $25 gift cards. And then we have, let's see, what did we determine for attendees? Oh, all members. We have 2 for all members. So what we've done is we have our entire membership list. So these people don't have to be present. And there's a $500 gift card and a $100 gift card. And so that if you win one of the prizes and you get drawn again for one of the higher prizes, you have to give one of them back. And I would recommend that you give the lesser priced one back, but I'm not telling you what to do, okay? So we'll go through that now. When Lisa has the list of the membership list, and we have 2 different numbers, like you might be a number 26 here, but on the membership list, you might be 122 or something like that. So they are different numbers on that. But it applies that you can only win one prize and you want to keep with the greatest one. So we're going to start off we'll do the members first, and then the attendees first, and then we'll do the members. So we're going to do the 4 $25 gift cards, and we had in attendance 33. So hopefully you'll be able to hear this. Give me a random number between 1 and 33.
The answer is 26.
26. Lisa, no one else has seen the list, so
Ray Bulkey.
Ray Bulkey, great. He's a multiple winner. He knows to come to these. Congratulations, Ray. All right, for our second 25. Give me a random number between 1 and 33.
The answer is 10.
Number 10.
Carolyn Monson.
Carolyn, congratulations.
Woo!
Double winner tonight. All right, next one is, let's see here. Give me a random number between 1 and 33.
It's 31.
31.
Samantha Fajardo.
Samantha, I'm glad we changed your name so we could include you. Congratulations. One more $25 gift card. Give me a random number between 1 and 33.
The answer is 3.
3.
Barbara Moore.
Barbara Moore, congratulations. And Randy, I see you have a background now. Sorry, it's all over, you know. All right, so now we move to the, let's see, the 3 $100 gift cards.
Right.
Okay, so we've got 3 of those. Give me a random number between 1 and 33.
The answer is 19.
19.
Joe Ellen.
Joe Ellen, congratulations. Nice. And these are the 100, so we have 2 more of those. Give me a random number between 1 and 33.
It's 17.
17. Right,
Jane Hunter.
Jane Hunter, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And our last of our $100 gift cards now. Give me a random number between 1 and 33.
The answer is 13.
13. Lucky 13.
Elaine Hebert.
Congratulations, Elaine.
Woohoo! My lucky night. Woohoo!
All righty. So now for attendees, it's the $500 gift card. So I should have taken and put a drum roll on here, but give me a random number between 1 and 33.
It's 29.
29.
Bob Ress.
Bob.
All right, Bob.
Congratulations.
All right.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Woo-hoo.
Virtual drinks
Thanks,
are on
Siri.
you. Virtual drinks are on you. All right. Now we move to the all member ones, and it's a $100 and then a $500, and we have 321 active members.
And Mary will be your guide.
Mary's got that one. Great.
You gotta unmute, Mary.
Or Maria.
Yeah.
All
Or
right.
just Mary Juan. Okay.
Here we go. Give me a random number between 1 and 321.
The answer is 20.
20.
And that is Carol Zelinsky.
And that's a $100. And now for the $500. Give me a random number between 1 and 321.
The answer is 202.
202.
And drum roll,
Dun, 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 dun.
Lee Paxton.
Oh, Lee Paxton. All right. Longtime member. All right, everyone. So it was good odds tonight. We had quite a few prizes. And if you didn't win one, come back next year. But thank you. And if there's any questions pop up, thanks to all the volunteers. We have Lisa she counts the members to do this. She's our treasurer. She does everything. Mary, she did the old membership database.
With Mary's support all the way through.
Yeah, they tag team on that. Absolutely. Bob Ress, our secretary. Bob White, the OG. He's a good OG. Now he's got a good background too.
Yeah.
I know everybody spiced it up after the fact. Al's got his circle around there, the rainbow. It looks like the Apple Park rainbow, kind of.
Yeah.
And Rich Pearson, the other member at large, and we have two volunteers that didn't make it. Thomas Spencer, no relation, and Cheryl Souza. So again,
Cheryl was here.
Oh, Cheryl was?
She was
Yeah,
here
she
for a
came
while.
in.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed her. Okay. So good now. Oh, there's Cheryl there. Hi, Cheryl. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Stick around if you have any questions. Otherwise, if you were a winner, you will be getting an email from me this evening telling you that you've won an Amazon gift card. It's not spam. So, all right. Thanks again, everybody. Happy anniversary. We're on to number 38.
Again,
Yeah, Harmon, go ahead.
I'd just like to verify it's okay if I send the link so a non-member could come to the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, so what we always said in the past with live meetings is I always say, let people come to 2 or 3 meetings and see how they like it, and then they can decide to join. I mean, it's kind of like Apple. They give you 5 gigabytes of free iCloud storage because they know you're going to fill it up, and I call it the drug pusher approach. So yeah, I mean, we all agree to that, and I think that's fine.
Good.
So because you want to get these people up so you can sell them your old Apple stuff.
Yeah.
So you can, because now you've got the gift card, and you'll be able to go from there.
She has a rich friend who passes things on to her, so
Nice.
that won't work for me.
Nice. I need one of those.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, where do we sign up for that?
That's called a Mac Sugar.
That's a Mac Daddy.
Sugar Mac Daddy. There you go. Yeah. All right. So wonderful, everyone, and don't hesitate to give them the link for the recordings of these also. So, because I think.
Thanks. Yeah.
Ken,
Thanks,
Georgiana's got her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Georgiana. I missed it on your books up there. Go right ahead.
That's okay. Yeah, actually, I think on my screen, it's covering my telescope.
No, it's on the other side for us because you got the mirror.
Yeah. Let's see. Kimberly, who just passed away.
Yeah.
Recently passed away. She was one of the people who helped. You could ask her to come help you with your machine.
Right.
Okay. Has anyone been designated to take her place?
Well, she did that as a pay for service, I believe.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do that, but I'm doing less of it, and I'm not taking on new clients, but don't hesitate to pass it on to me. But I'm going to appeal to everybody, because since if I'm not taking new clients, I mean, who knows of somebody that's doing it, and we need that input because I want to be able to refer someone too. So, but yeah, that's, and I don't want to step on toes with that or anything, but as far as I know Richard was even doing it for a while, but he says he's not doing it any longer.
Yeah, yes, I know. In fact, he helped me on a brand new computer I bought a couple of months ago, but there's still a major problem.
Well, I'm doing my support by remote because I can do it from anywhere in the world. And, run it by me. You have my email address, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, send me the thing and we can look and we'll see what's up. But I'm a little constrained because I leave on the 30th for 5
Right. Yeah, I know. That's
and
why
I'm going to be connected quite a bit on the trip, but I think in the middle of the Sahara, I'm not going to have a very good internet connection.
No, I think you want to watch for things like, scorpions and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
camel Wi-Fi.
I'll be doing- yeah. We'll see how the T-Mobile connection is.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Ress, you have your hand up. Go right ahead.
Yeah, is Dick Warner still doing hardware work?
As far as I know, he is. I believe he is. So, and he's got that new computer, so he is still doing that. And I think I think he'll connect. I'm not sure. He stays really busy with his day job, but yes, I believe so. So that's another point on hardware. And the other one I recommend for hardware too is Corsair. Corsair does a really good job, and
they're Apple authorized too.
Yeah, they're actually Apple authorized, and I'm not doing hardware type repair anymore. I stopped that because of COVID. But to be honest, there's really, it's interesting. When COVID started, I anticipated being busier because everybody's using their computers more. But the Apple products are subtly better and better and better, and there's not as much messing up on them anymore. And I'm less busy than I ever was, which is for me great because I'm trying to retire. So, but yeah, and I mean, especially like, and they will get in and they can replace drives and they can do more than the Apple Store can in that regard. So, like if you had a Mac that went in, the Apple will only replace the hard drive with a like hard drive. So with Corsair, like I used to do, you could put in a solid state drive instead of a spinning drive and things like that. Corsair will do that. And Mary Maria, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When you were talking, you were graciously answering my question and then I disconnected. So just a short answer. Should I go ahead and connect to with the Ethernet as you described? Is that
absolutely? And you don't have to shut down or anything. You can do it. You can do it. Just hardwire it while it's there, and your computer will recognize Wi-Fi and recognize Ethernet, and it will put the fastest one to the top on the list automatically. So now the only thing I mention is what happens is many times if you have an Ethernet and a Wi-Fi connection, it's more or less to the router. It thinks it's two computers because they have unique IDs, the actual Ethernet card and the Wi-Fi, but it's not a big deal. But you'll occasionally get something that pops up and says, a computer named this is on your network. What do you want to do? And all it's saying is let's say it's called Mary's iMac. It'll say Mary's iMac 2 is on using the same name. Just say okay, because it just means there was a temporary glitch between them. But people look at that and they think, oh my gosh, is someone in my computer? Are they hacking me and doing things like that? Absolutely not. It's your same computer, just now connecting by Wi-Fi for some strange reason rather than Ethernet. And then when it pops back to the other one, you may get that warning. It doesn't happen a lot, but if it does, don't be alarmed. Just hit okay.
Okay. So in essence, the Ethernet, the Ethernet connection goes from the brick to the router, and then there's another cord from the brick to the computer, right?
Yes, but it's actually the cord you already have run. It's that single cord that's powered right into your monitor. It's brilliant.
They have two cords, really. Yeah, it's lovely.
You have one. Okay, you have the power brick,
right?
And you have the Ethernet plugged into that.
I will have, yes.
Okay, then one cord goes to the wall, and the other cord goes to the computer. There is no second cord coming out of the brick to your computer.
Well, actually there is, but the brick,
Not out of the brick, there's not.
there's one on each side, one to the wall and one to the computer.
Absolutely,
At
and
the-
that's it. And what happens is, think of it this way, the Ethernet is inside that cord that goes to the computer from the brick.
Okay, but then I still attach, in addition, I attach the yellow Ethernet to the brick.
Absolutely,
Right.
you have to do that.
Okay,
And
okay.
again,
It's
brick-
just that it's in
your
two
interface,
pieces.
instead of in the back of the computer, it's in the brick, and it's
All right,
implicitly attached to the computer already.
okay, thank
And
you.
the nice thing
I
is
really
that gives
appreciate
you
it.
one less cable that would have been on your desk otherwise. Apple's implementation of that, I think, was brilliant.
I agree. I agree. It just kind of scared me when I looked and all I saw were the USB ports and not the big kind, not the old
Yeah.
kind.
Well, that
So,
you need a
thank you.
dongle, and if you email me, or you can go to Amazon, and one of the brands I've had good luck with that it seems to have them is, and autocorrect will mess it up when you do it, but the letter U as in U-turn, all one word,
Uh-huh.
U green.
Okay. And can I run a little light off of that without taxing it too much?
Off of your USB port?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it for
You know-
for your keyboard or what?
No, it's this kind of a light,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
because it's got a USB port.
Yeah, so when you get the dongle, you'll be able to put multiple, like the dongle will come with 3 or 4 regular USB ports.
And for charging like the phone or whatever on the side.
Well, yeah, and do you
Or
have,
the iPad.
which phone do you have? The 12?
I have a 10R.
So if you get a new phone, the 12 and
Yeah.
the 13s, they come with the small connector on the one end.
Okay.
You wouldn't need them on the dongle, but yes, you can charge your phones that way. Well, and in fact, you have the cable to your keyboard to charge your keyboard on that.
Right.
And
Exactly.
and your mouse, you can't use your mouse when you charge it, and it'll tell you when it gets below 20% left.
Well, that's a nice feature. And by the way, the keyboard with the touch is nice on this new computer. I
And
like
that's-
that.
So what you get for the $200 between the base $12.99 model and the $14.99 model is you get the 4 ports on the back instead of 2. You get the Ethernet connector, and you get the Touch ID on the keyboard. And that, I think, is that, and you get a more powerful machine, but just those other things make a huge difference.
Yeah, and I will say I didn't understand about the Ethernet in the literature when I was trying to decide which one to order. So I hope this is helpful to other people as they're kind of thinking about what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So thanks.
And I can't say enough good things about that incredible 24-inch iMac. In fact, I texted with Pete the other day, and that's his go-to machine right now. The 24.
It's pretty too.
Oh yeah, it is. And you got, I still don't understand the 5 color choices. It makes them have to stock, like retailers, they have to stock 5 times more SKUs. It's crazy.
But you know what was interesting? When I went to buy it, I went to the Apple store and I was going to buy it that night. They had none in stock.
Well, that's because it was around getting back to school time too.
Yeah, I guess so. So no matter what color, people were going for it. Anyway, thanks for everything. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Ken.
thank you too. All right. Well, I got to get busy unless there's any other questions so I can mail out everybody's little goodies.
Have a good time on your trip there, Ken, and send us a lot of
Yeah.
pictures here.
Oh, you bet. Thanks
Looking
very
forward.
much.
Okay, bye.
Oh, and Pete will
Have a
be
safe trip.
Pete will be doing classes and doing the November meeting. So
Nice.
Terrific.
because
Great.
I'm not back till December 5th. So
All right. You got a travel log website or something you post some pictures to or something?
I'll probably post. Yeah, I'll post some pictures. I may link it to my to my Flickr account or something like that.
That'd be
Or
great.
maybe I'll finally get kenspencer.com to have something on it. Who knows?
Why not?
And
Yeah.
hey, Al,
Yes.
the computer came with 2 Apple stickers like that. One's silver and one's the blue.
Nice.
Oh, one's actually
So-
blue. That's cool.
Yeah. So
I collect
Yep,
those
I
stickers,
thought-
man. I got a ton of them. I love them. I stick them all over all kinds of stuff.
Oh, Al,
okay.
Al, next time we get together, you got to let me know because I somehow, somewhere acquired this thick of a stack. Let's see my hand here. This
Nice.
thick of a stack of the original white ones.
Oh, yeah. It's one of my
So,
faves.
I can
I'll
probably
take some of those off your hands. Yeah.
those
Yeah.
out, yeah.
I'm gonna
But you
stack
know
of
what's
those
funny
stickers.
is, and I don't know, just to think about it, I stopped putting them on my car. Because no, why advertise what's in your car?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like, don't put, if you're females who put their names on their license plate, it seems like something waiting to happen. You're just advertising you're very possibly a single woman in a car.
I think
You know?
I think I still have a stack of the rainbow apple stickers.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I just realized that in my old Mac, along with my original iPod and my NanoPod and yeah, all that stuff. I think that's all in that. I should find that box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
All
have-
right, everybody.
All right, gang.
Okay, thanks.
Stay
Thanks,
safe
Tanya.
out there.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.